Hello and welcome to the Hellraiser blog. Today's Hellraiser blog, we're going to look at George Groves against Callum Smith. If you enjoyed today's blog, please hit the subscribe button. We love welcoming new members to the Hellraiser Boxing YouTube family. Okay, so the Groves versus Callum Smith fight, big fight taking place in the King Abdullah Sports City in Jeddah. Not a venue I'd ever heard of before this fight was announced. It's in Saudi Arabia. There must be paying really shelling, because if you think of the ticket sales that fight would have generated in the UK, it would have been a big fight. And they've decided to take the whole shooting match out to Saudi Arabia, which I don't know how well boxing sells out there, but that's maybe one of the quirky sort of fun things about this tournament, that anything can happen, and then something unexpected has happened. The final's gone to Saudi Arabia. Okay, so let's look at the boxers. Callum Mundo Smith. I first came across him when he was an amateur. I was looking for a freakishly tall light heavyweight, and Dean Powell, Frank Warren's old matchmaker, put me on to Callum Smith, because I said, look, I'm looking everywhere. I can't find what they've asked me, the promoters in France that hadn't Mohammedi, what they're looking for. I can't find. And he said, yeah, there is one. He's in Liverpool. He's an amateur. It's Stephen Smith's brother. We sent him out. They gave us rave reports on Callum Smith. They said, wow, really good work, really impressed. Great boxer, going to have a big career, wait and see. And he has had a good career so far. Hasn't really put a foot wrong. Okay, so the fighters, Callum Smith, 28 years old, 6'3". He's got a reach of 198 centimetres. Yes, 2 centimetres short of 2 metres. So that is a freakishly long. I mean, that is really long reach. And he's a two-weight ABA champion at welter and middle. Got a 24-0 record with 17 stoppages. He can definitely punch. There was a journeyman called Ruslan Pajonasev who he boxed quite a few guys that either I arranged or on my shows. And a very tough guy. And Callum Smith stopped him in a round. So that tells you, definitely, and I've had it on good authority from guys that have shared a ring with Callum, that there's a lot of pop in his punches. So he's not pure. To me, there's two Callum Smiths. There's one that really comes out looking very ambitious, looking to win spectacularly, and there's another Callum Smith who opts to win boring, or win. Maybe I'm not going to use the word boring. I'm going to say he chooses to win it using technical skills. But sometimes it can be, even to my naked eye, and I appreciate technical boxing very much, but I find it sometimes a little bit too conservative, and find it a little bit, not exactly boring, but not exciting. Okay, so Callum Smith, who clearly has like a height and a reach. I mean, Groves is 5'11" with a reach of 72 inches, like 183 centimetres, so there is a considerable difference in reach here. And I think that actually those differences will set the blueprint for the fight that we're going to see on Saturday. There's different reasons why I think the fight will go the way that it will go. But I think very quickly Smith will work out Groves is stronger than him and is a bigger puncher. And I think Groves will suddenly, will know before he even gets in there, there's a big weight, big height and reach difference. And also that Smith is actually very good at moving the upper half of his body's side-to-side movement, and also using his feet to move, and to move that half a step back, which means that if you've got that shorter reach, you have to not just move forwards, but you've actually got to gamble, you've got to rush forwards, you've got to take big steps moving forwards, not just sort of slip a punch and counter, because you could slip, counter and fall short with Smith and then get hit with a counter yourself, a counter to your counter. So I think Groves very quickly is going to realise he has to not just sneak forward, he literally has to walk into range. And if he doesn't move quickly forwards, he's going to spend a lot of the time on the wrong end of Smith's jabs, meaning that he needs to really, Smith needs to move side to side and keep it long and hold the centre of the ring. I think that is key to this fight, to Callum Smith. If he can hold that centre of the ring, I think George Groves can have a problem here. It's not a simple fight, whichever way he does it. But then George Groves, he has to draw the jab, slip, and then get inside it and counter at the same time. For me, for it to be a successful fight for George, I think George has to take the centre of the ring as well, and that's going to make this very interesting, how that all unfurls. I see Groves being the house fighter here. If there are any favours, I think they'll go his way. Groves, as you know, we backed heavily in the last round where he came across Chris Eubank Jr. If you watch that blog, we were very confident on Groves, and hopefully you earned a few quid. Certainly my mortgage was looking a lot healthier after that fight. I think, going back to how this fight unfolds, I think Groves has to get inside early, and he needs to go to the body early. He needs to cut the foot movement from Smith early on, and if he can do that, then I think the fight becomes much easier for him. And if he can then dictate the pace through using that movement, and when he's got, he needs to basically cut the ring off and push Smith without diving in. He needs to sort of be feinting and trying to draw the jabs, get inside, and then box. And I think, for my money, I have Groves as a better boxer actually than Smith. Not much in it. I think he will be able to outbox Smith. He has an edge in experience. He's certainly the bigger puncher for my money, and he will try and use that, and he needs to use that in this fight to get him the result. I don't think there'll be a lot in it. I don't think he's a much better boxer. I just think if I have to go for one or the other, I'm going to go for Groves on boxing ability levels. But I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to bet on this fight, and I'm not going to advise anyone bet on this fight because I favour Groves. I'm going to say I do favour Groves, not by much. Marginally, I favour Groves, but I would never bet. I would never advise backing a guy who's coming off a serious shoulder injury, like a dislocated shoulder. Shoulders are incredibly unpredictable. You hear fighters all the time saying, "Oh, it feels better now than it did in the first place." Well, maybe they're trying to convince themselves. Maybe they're trying to convince the public. The thing is, you never know. And certainly, if you look in boxing, it's quite a ruthless business. This is just the truth. Okay, the guys, they know they're fighting someone that's had a dislocated shoulder, certainly a recently dislocated shoulder. They will be very clumsy with slipping and then throwing uppercuts, knowing that if they don't hit the target with the chin, they might hit under the bottom side of the shoulder and knock it out again. And it's too big a risk, a guy that's just had that, for me to go, okay, yeah, let's go and bet on that. So I won't be betting on Groves, but I do edge him slightly. I favour him slightly to win on points. I think he's a big puncher. He's the bigger puncher of the two. But I think Smith has got the skills to see him through. Even if he does get caught with one shot, I think his recovery, his fitness, his movement, his awkwardness, that long reach that we've been talking about, I think that will see him through. Even though I won't be betting on that fight, there is one fight that I keep looking at that, and it's a real long shot. It's a real long shot. It's in JJ McDonough, who's boxing Chris Eubank Jr. I don't know how they made the fight, but JJ McDonough has boxed on my shows previously. He boxed on one of my I can't remember if it was him or his brother that boxed on my dinner show at the Savoy and in London, and he boxed, definitely JJ McDonough boxed on one of my shows at the Camden Centre, one of my Eurosport shows. He's got a style that is very busy, good technical boxer, not exactly a come forward brawler type, but aggressive enough, and he can punch harder than I think he gets credit for. And I know Eubank sort of clearly got a good chin, but I think the awkwardness and the unpredictability of McDonough might cause him some problems. So if you fancy a nibble, a long range shot, then maybe have a look at JJ McDonough, because the guy can, on his day, can really fight. And it's just, can he get it all right? Obviously the travelling to Saudi Arabia, the stepping up in levels for McDonough, all these things can cause, I guess, the betting odds to be what they are. But I've just got a feeling. I'm not betting on it. It's a long shot, but I just got a feeling that that could be a tricky one for Mr. Eubanks. Junior. Okay, thanks for watching, guys. Please give us a subscribe, and I'll see you again. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.